When a Sigma male walks away, it's not out of anger, it's out of clarity. You won't get a warning, a fight, or an explanation, just silence. And that silence will echo louder than any goodbye ever could. Because when a Sigma is done, he's not trying to prove a point, he's reclaiming his peace. This video isn't about heartbreak or revenge, it's about transformation. The moment a man stops giving his energy to chaos and starts investing it into his evolution. So, if you've ever been misunderstood for choosing distance over drama or peace over people, this one's for you. Watch until the end. And if you recognize yourself in this mindset, subscribe to Ultrawise and comment below. Once I walk away, I never look back. He detaches emotionally long before he leaves. When a Sigma male walks away, it never happens in a moment of impulse. By the time he physically leaves, he's already gone emotionally, long before anyone notices. You'll still see him around, still hear his calm tone, still get the same polite words, but something behind his eyes has already changed. The warmth that once reached you is gone. He's observing now, not connecting, testing what he already suspects. That what he's giving is no longer being matched. His detachment isn't coldness, it's self-preservation. Sigma males don't explode or beg for understanding when something feels off. They internalize, they analyze, and then they begin the quiet process of emotional withdrawal. It starts with shorter replies, less enthusiasm, and more time spent alone. He becomes harder to reach, not because he's punishing anyone, but because he's protecting what's left of his energy. He's seen the pattern too many times, giving too much, explaining too deeply, and ending up drained. As the distance grows, he starts building walls where bridges once stood. He stops oversharing, he stops trying to be understood, and eventually, he stops caring about being misunderstood. His silence becomes his armor, not because he's emotionless, but because he feels too deeply to keep wasting that depth on the wrong people. When a Sigma detaches, it's final. Not loud, not dramatic, just quietly irreversible. You might think he's fine, but he's already mapping a future where your presence no longer fits. By the time you realize he's slipping away, he's already built peace in his absence. And when that moment comes, it's not revenge, it's release. Because he learned that real strength isn't in holding on, it's in walking away without bitterness. He stops, explaining himself to protect his energy. When a Sigma male reaches the point of exhaustion, he realizes something powerful. Explanations are emotional traps. Every time he tries to justify his choices, prove his intentions, or defend his peace, it costs him energy that never returns. So he stops. Not out of arrogance, but out of clarity. Because he's learned that the people who truly understand him never needed an explanation in the first place. At first he still tries. He explains why he's distant, why he needs space, why certain things no longer align. But what he gets in return is misunderstanding, sometimes guilt, sometimes manipulation, and sometimes silence from people who only listen to argue. That's when he understands the truth. Not everyone deserves access to his reasoning. Some people don't want to understand, they just want control. So instead of repeating himself, the Sigma retreats into calm. His quiet becomes his boundary. He chooses to let actions speak while words fade away. And it confuses people, especially those used to feeding on his openness. They start asking questions he no longer answers. They try to provoke a reaction he no longer gives. Because once he learns that peace is louder than defense, he no longer participates in emotional tug-of-wars. Every word he used to spend explaining, he now reinvests into self-mastery. Every ounce of energy once wasted on convincing others becomes fuel for his focus, growth, and purpose. His silence stops being passive it becomes strategic. And in that silence, he becomes untouchable. People who once thrived on his reactions start realizing they've lost access to the best version of him. The Sigma doesn't announce his detachment. He simply stops translating his peace into a language chaos can understand. And when he does, the calm he creates around himself becomes the ultimate proof that no explanation is more powerful than silence backed by purpose. He withdraws without announcement, only intention. When a Sigma male decides to walk away, he doesn't warn you. There's no confrontation, no emotional goodbye, and no final conversation filled with explanations. He simply withdraws. Quietly, intentionally, and without hesitation. To the outside world it might look sudden, even cold, but in reality, it's the result of countless moments where he felt unheard, unseen, or unappreciated. His silence isn't spontaneous. It's the final chapter of a story he's been writing in his mind for a long time. Sigma doesn't believe in dramatic exits. He doesn't want revenge or recognition for leaving. He believes in the power of disappearance. Because that's where his peace lives. When he walks away, it's not to prove a point. It's to reclaim the energy that was constantly being drained. He's done explaining, done negotiating, done waiting for change that never comes. At first, people might not even notice. He's still polite, still functional, still composed, but the emotional presence, the part of him that cared deeply and paid attention to every word, is gone. He becomes distant in subtle ways. Fewer messages, shorter conversations, longer silences. He stops showing up emotionally even when he's still physically around. That's how he creates space, slowly but permanently. What makes his withdrawal so powerful is that it's grounded in peace, not anger. He doesn't leave to teach anyone a lesson. He leaves because he's already learned his. The moment he recognizes that his loyalty has become his prison, he breaks free. Not with noise, but with grace. And when he's gone, there's no closure to chase. You won't get explanations or long messages about why he left. His silence is the explanation, because when a Sigma male withdraws, it's not impulsive, it's absolute. He's not running away from you, he's returning to himself. And once that happens, the distance he creates becomes permanent. He turns isolation into reinvention. When a Sigma male disappears, most people assume he's lonely, broken, or trying to recover from pain. But what they don't realize is that his isolation isn't an escape. It's evolution. He doesn't hide to feel sorry for himself. He hides to rebuild, to strip away everything that drained him and start again, stronger and sharper than before. While others drown in distraction, the Sigma male thrives in solitude. That's where he hears himself clearly, where he reconnects with the parts of his mind and spirit that the world tried to silence. He reflects on the lessons, replays the mistakes, and transforms the hurt into focus. The walls of his solitude aren't built for protection. They're built for transformation. In isolation, he no longer needs validation or noise. He studies himself, his weaknesses, his triggers, his strengths, and turns them into tools. The pain that once broke him becomes the discipline that rebuilds him. The silence that once felt heavy becomes the peace that fuels him. Every moment alone sharpens his vision, aligns his purpose, and prepares him for the next version of himself. People who once underestimated him often mistake his disappearance for defeat. They think his silence means he's given up. But what they don't understand is that the Sigma never gives up. He regenerates. When he steps back, it's to return as someone unrecognizable, not because he's pretending to be new, but because he's upgraded beyond the limits others set for him. His isolation is not punishment, it's preparation. While others chase distractions to avoid their pain, the Sigma confronts it until it no longer has power over him. That's why, when he finally re-emerges, he's calmer, more calculated, and infinitely more focused. And by then, it's too late for anyone to catch up, because the man who chose solitude didn't lose himself. He found his power in it. He replaces attachment with purpose. When a Sigma male walks away, he doesn't just leave people. He leaves the version of himself that was emotionally tied to validation, approval, or comfort. He's not driven by attachment anymore. He's driven by purpose. The pain that once made him hold on now becomes the motivation to move forward. What others see as cold is really clarity. A man choosing mission over emotion, progress over nostalgia. He starts to recognize how much energy he wasted on things that didn't align with his vision, pleasing others, defending himself, waiting for change. All of it was noise that blurred his focus. Once he breaks free from attachment, that energy is redirected toward his goals. He wakes up with new discipline, sharper intention, and zero tolerance for distractions disguised as relationships. Purpose becomes his new emotional anchor. It doesn't betray him, it doesn't drain him, and it doesn't demand explanations. When he pours his effort into becoming stronger, wiser, and more fulfilled, the need for external approval fades completely. He no longer looks for meaning in people, he creates it within himself. This shift is what makes the Sigma male unstoppable, because when you can no longer be controlled by what you crave, you become dangerous in the best way. His purpose fuels him through rejection, betrayal, and loss. He stops waiting for closure because his mission gives him all the direction he needs. In his detachment, there's no bitterness, only focus. He doesn't hate the people he left behind. He just outgrew the version of himself who needed them. And as his goals start to align with his solitude, something powerful happens. Peace replaces dependency. When a Sigma replaces attachment with purpose, he becomes immune to manipulation. His calm is no longer silence, it's a statement. His solitude is no longer emptiness, it's momentum. And by the time the world realizes how far he's come, he's already building his next chapter in complete control of his destiny. He outgrows the need to be understood. For most of his life, the Sigma male tried to explain himself, not because he wanted validation, but because he hoped people would see his intentions clearly. He wanted to be understood, not admired. But over time, he learns one of life's harshest truths. Most people don't listen to understand. They listen to judge, react, or twist your words to fit their own perspective. And that realization becomes his turning point. When he finally outgrows the need to be understood, he steps into emotional freedom. He no longer wastes energy proving his worth to people committed to misunderstanding him. The arguments, the clarifications, the endless need to explain, all of it stops. He realizes that peace doesn't come from being seen, it comes from being self-assured. His silence becomes his filter, separating those who truly get him from those who never will. This shift makes him quieter but more powerful. When others try to provoke or confuse him, he no longer reacts, he observes. When people misjudge him, he doesn't correct them. He lets their assumptions reveal their mindset. He learns that true confidence isn't loud, it's calm, self-contained, and unbothered. The Sigma no longer needs agreement to feel secure. His understanding of himself becomes enough. He also realizes that being misunderstood is part of leadership and individuality. The more authentic he becomes, the less relatable he is to the masses. And that's exactly how he prefers it. He doesn't crave connection, he attracts alignment. People who truly resonate with his frequency find him naturally, without explanation or effort. Outgrowing the need to be understood doesn't make him arrogant. It makes him untouchable. Because when your peace no longer depends on external perception, no one can emotionally manipulate you. He no longer lives to prove anything. He lives to become everything he was meant to be. In the end, his silence becomes his language. His results become his explanation. And his detachment becomes the ultimate proof that a man who understands himself never needs to be understood by others. He transforms pain into unshakable focus. When a Sigma male feels pain, he doesn't collapse, he recalibrates. While most people drown in heartbreak, betrayal, or disappointment, he studies it like data. Every wound becomes a lesson, every failure a recalculated path. He doesn't deny pain, he dissects it, and through that process, something powerful happens. The very thing that once broke him becomes the source of his precision, his discipline, and his drive. At first, his pain isolates him. It forces him into silence, into long nights of reflection where emotions hit harder than words ever could. But instead of running from that discomfort, he sits with it until it reveals its purpose. He learns to turn emotional chaos into mental clarity. The Sigma male doesn't let pain define him. He lets it sharpen him. Like steel forged in fire, every hardship burns away weakness and leaves behind only strength and focus. While others use pain as an excuse to quit, he uses it as a reason to rise. The betrayal that once hurt him now fuels his self-discipline. The rejection that stung now drives him to build his own path. Every person who underestimated him becomes silent motivation. He doesn't seek revenge, he seeks results. Because for the Sigma male, success is the only closure that truly matters. Pain gives him something most people never develop: resilience. It strips him of dependency, comfort, and ego. It teaches him that emotional control isn't coldness, it's power. When he channels that energy into his goals, his focus becomes unbreakable. Nothing distracts him, nothing shakes him, and nothing external dictates his pace anymore. In his world, pain isn't the enemy, it's the mentor that never lies. Every lesson carved by suffering becomes a rule for success. And as he grows, he realizes that life doesn't get easier, he just gets stronger. By transforming pain into focus, the Sigma male doesn't just recover, he evolves. He becomes the kind of man who no longer reacts emotionally to life's storms, because he's already learned how to use lightning to forge his own fire. He walks away silently, but the world feels his absence. When a Sigma male walks away, there's no announcement, no dramatic goodbye, just quiet disappearance. One day he's there, offering insight, energy, and presence. The next, he's gone, leaving behind only the echo of what he once gave. But his absence speaks louder than any confrontation ever could. It's not revenge, it's revelation. Because people only realize his value when his silence replaces the stability they once took for granted. He doesn't walk away to hurt anyone. He walks away because staying would cost him his peace. After being drained, misunderstood, or underestimated for too long, he reaches a point where words can't fix what actions have already exposed. His calm withdrawal is the final stage of clarity. Not anger, not resentment, but acceptance. He's done explaining, done proving, done trying to be seen by those who refuse to look deeper. And when he leaves, the shift is undeniable. The conversations lose depth. The energy changes. The people who thought he was replaceable start realizing he was the balance in their chaos, the quiet strength that made everything function. But by then, it's too late. The Sigma male doesn't circle back to comfort those who didn't value his presence. He moves forward into the peace he built for himself. His silence becomes power because it forces others to confront what they ignored. They finally feel the gravity of his boundaries, the weight of his absence, and the reality that he was never dependent. They were. The world may try to fill the space he left, but his energy isn't something that can be replicated. It's one of a kind, steady, rare, and deeply felt once gone. In the end, his walk away is not a loss, it's liberation. His silence doesn't signal defeat, it marks evolution. And while others struggle to understand how someone so quiet could leave such a lasting impact, the Sigma male simply continues on his path, unbothered, unstoppable, and at peace. When a Sigma male walks away, it's not a loss, it's evolution. He doesn't need to announce his growth or prove his worth to anyone. His absence becomes his message, and his peace becomes his loudest statement. The people who once took his presence for granted will feel the weight of his silence long after he's gone. Because the Sigma doesn't leave to punish, he leaves to protect his power, his focus, and his freedom. If this message resonates with you, take it as a reminder. Sometimes walking away is the most powerful move you can make. Growth doesn't need noise, it just needs direction. Comment below. Have you ever walked away quietly? Not out of anger, but self-respect. How did it change you? And if you're built like this, calm, focused, and untouchable, make sure to subscribe for more powerful Signal insights like this one.